Hello, and welcome to another episode of our NAWBO Member Love Live and the Texas Women Mean Business podcast. My name is Akila Mendez Valdez, and I'm joined today by Paige Evans. Hi, Paige. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is so good to see you again. Happy almost
Yes.
Friday, and I know kids are starting school, so it is a crazy time of year, but I am
I
glad we are
know.
making this happen.
I know. Absolutely. Yes. You look surprisingly well rested and pulled together for being in the thick of back to school season. So props to you on that. But
Thank you. Red light therapy, okay?
yeah. So worth the hype. I saw the other day that Charlize Theron actually uses her red light mask and like swears by it. So I was like,
Oh
maybe
my
it is
gosh.
legit because she's doing
I
all
don't
right.
know. It's helping me, I think. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
placebo, but I'm rolling with it.
100%. 100%. So tell me a little bit more, Paige, about your business. I'm so excited to dig into this today.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again for having me. And yeah, my business is a professional speaking business. So I do keynotes, sales, kickoffs, workshops, and even private one on one coaching with teams who know that they could do better when it comes to sales, to performing. I'm very passionate about helping people unlock their potential and really connecting well with other people. And so I actually draw from about 12 years of sales experience. I was always in the technology world and software sales. And a big reason for my success in software sales was really nailing human connection. It wasn't because I knew my product the best or had the most tenure at a company. And so I'm really passionate about helping people really slow down and connect with others, look people in the eye, especially in this age of AI. I think people are relying a lot on this artificial intelligence and they're forgetting to be human and leverage their
Mhm.
human
Mhm.
intelligence and really connect with others. It's such a rarity these days, but I really think that's a competitive advantage businesses have when
Mhm.
their people can be more human and know how to do that, and then the sales results end up following.
Right, right. Absolutely. What do you feel like is the most common fear or concern that people have around sales? What is it that gets people so? I mean, I think it's like death, public speaking, having to ask somebody for money or sell something. Like it's
Oh
pretty high
yes.
up there.
Yes, it is. It's so funny because I think people assume sales is being pushy, it's cold calling, it's forcing someone to do something they don't want to do. But in reality, sales is helping somebody solve a problem. So it is not something that you do to somebody, it is something you do for somebody. You are helping them, you are in the service of them,
Mm,
and your product may not even be the right product. It's not your job to make that decision. Your job is to educate them on what it
mm,
is you offer and be consultative. So I think, again, people get that ick because we've all dealt with salespeople who are pushy and you're like, I don't need this. And I think
mhm,
that connotation has really carried over to sales. But the best salespeople I know, they're the best listeners and they ask really good questions and they're curious. They're not pushing anyone to do anything. It's really just a series of conversations they're having with somebody else. And then the natural ending to those conversations is let's make this official. Let's do business together. And so I just think it has a bad connotation and people assume the worst when they think of sales, like, oh, sales, I don't want to talk to you.
mhm.
But I know some incredible sellers who put their prospect first and
Mhm.
they listen more than they talk. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What would be your advice? Because I think there's so many times when you're just starting out with your business that you have almost this like energy that feels whether you're projecting it or not, you're a little bit
Mhm.
like desperate to get that first close and
Mm,
like
sure.
I'm worried about covering my
Mhm.
expenses. I'm worried about I have to get the sale. I have to how do you help people understand, A, do you find that that's not effective? Does that impact, how you come off as a salesperson? And if it does, how do you adjust to that and kind of keep that at a minimum so that it doesn't, affect the sales cycle?
Yeah, I think one of the favorite things I love to teach on is your energy, right? That your energy actually introduces you before you ever say a word. And so people sense your energy if you are excited about what you have to offer, if you're coming across as nervous or unsure, people sense that, and that definitely impacts the buying process. And so, I've been on calls before where people are trying to sell something and I can sense their nerves. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, what? Like, I don't know about this because of their energy. But when they're just so confident in what they have to offer, I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued here. And so I think our energy is such a key part of the sales motion,
Mhm.
and being less worried about the outcome. Yes, we may really want the sale and we might really need the money, whatever that might be. But I think if we can step back and say, my job is to help them. And so if I
Mhm.
can just focus on helping them, then the results will follow, and stop being so focused on what we want and really make it all about them.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it really is, and I think it can go so much against your nature to want to just talk about, over explain, here's my features and benefits, here's my features
Mm-hmm.
and benefits, but I think that it just, causes people to tune out, and then they don't truly hear it. Not only do they not hear it, but then they also don't feel like they've been heard and understood. So it is
Yes,
such a challenge. Now I
it
know
is.
you're fairly new to the San Antonio area. Walk us through kind of how you arrived here and what your pathway was to get here.
Yes. Oh, well, I love that question. So I got to Texas as fast as I could. So actually
Yeah.
grew up on the West Coast, and then went to SMU in Dallas, Texas for college. Loved my experience. Met my now husband when I was a senior, and we raised our family. We have two little girls. We started raising them in Dallas. Probably lived in Dallas about 15 years, the two of us, before starting our family. And then God placed something in our heart years ago to buy land.
Hmm.
And when we were in Dallas, we were like, how are we going to do this in Dallas? Because this is a concrete jungle
Yeah.
and there's a lot of traffic. And if we want to buy land here, we're going to have to be way out in the middle of nowhere, which we didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere. We wanted to still have access to HEB and good schools and, modern conveniences. And so we prayed about it. And then we were like, you know what? We know we want to stay in Texas. Where in Texas could we find land, but still be near, the airport and restaurants and good schools and the grocery store? And so that happened to be Bernie, which is right outside of San Antonio. We're about 30 minutes from the airport,
Mhm.
22 minutes from Nordstrom,
Easy.
and
Oh, yes, very important. Yeah.
10 minutes from HEB Plus. So it's
Yeah.
kind of the best of both. We're on 12 acres, so nothing crazy. But for us coming from Dallas, we were like, oh my gosh, we can breathe. There's no
Heaven
traffic.
on earth. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what brought us here. And it's been amazing. It's been about a year
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, what would you say is the biggest difference between running a business as a woman in Dallas versus San Antonio or Bernie?
Oh,
We'll
sure,
include
sure.
the
Well,
whole country.
okay, there you go. I feel like the people here in San Antonio, they're just very special people. That's not to say the people in Dallas aren't special, but I feel like there's just this deeper connection people really want to have here. I think the difference is in Dallas, it's a lot of kind of like, well, who do you know? Whereas in San
Mm.
Antonio, people just want to get to know you, and it doesn't really matter, where you came from, who you don't know. And so I'm really just um, fascinated and surprised with how quickly I've been able to get plugged in, just because of that
Mhm.
sense of community, with NAWBO and other groups I'm a part of, that these women are all trying to help each other succeed and win and really slow down and get to know each other. And
Mhm.
it's so refreshing. It's so genuine. And it's exciting. I know you have
Mhm.
two daughters yourself, and I'm like, this is the type of place I want to raise my girls in, is a
Yeah.
supportive community of women who are doing incredible things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I was at an event earlier this week with Eric Walsh, our city manager at San Antonio, which is basically the CEO of the city, right? Not
Hmm.
necessarily, his title doesn't make him seem quite as important as he actually
Okay.
is. So he's running the whole city essentially, and more powerful than the mayor. But he was talking about, in terms of when you hear from somebody, oh, we want San Antonio to stay small. We don't want it to become Dallas, to become Austin, to become
Mm.
Houston. There's that kind of tug and pull between how do we grow as a city while still maintaining who we are. And I loved his
Mm.
response that he felt like the way that we do that is we hold on to the quality of life aspects in San Antonio that make the biggest difference for people.
Mm,
So not just the, culture and how we treat each other, but also the, parks and the, green spaces and the, all of those things that feed into it. But I
mhm.
think you really got at the core of it, that San Antonio is really a place where the culture and the warmth and the "we'll do anything for our neighbors," we are so fiercely loyal and passionate about holding on to that.
Yep.
So I concur is the long way of saying, yes,
I
I agree
love
with you.
that. Wow. And I love that he was able to pinpoint that as well, that
Yeah,
somebody at his level is carrying that importance. That's
totally.
wonderful to hear.
Yeah, it definitely starts at the top, right? And I think we
Hmm.
as women business owners, we also, feed into that with how we hire, how we treat our customers, how we work with our clients. Like it very much also contributes to that for sure. So,
Hmm.
what would you say to somebody who is, has that high powered corporate job? I've got all these big, numbers that I've hit with my, sales quotas at my business. How did that translate into you being able to coach and own your own business? Was it a smooth transition, or did it feel like, oh my gosh, I'm really having to learn this all over again?
Yeah, I'd say I'm very fortunate. Sales gave me a lot of the skills that are required of entrepreneurship
Mm,
and just really having to be resilient and overcome obstacles and objections and be creative and solve problems. And so it's really a lot of the same skills. And me being a speaker, I've actually learned that speaking is also a sales business. You got to go find your leads, figure out which events are hiring speakers, what topics they want to speak about, who the audience is. And so
mhm,
it's a lot of the same world I came from of, okay, I'm supposed to go build relationships, figure out the need, slow down, get to understand the event, the audience, the budgets, and those sorts of things, and then
yeah.
over deliver. And something I learned really early in my sales career was the importance of a good discovery call. That you're going to do so much better for a prospect or a customer if you've really taken the time to understand their needs intimately. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way early in sales, where I'm like, I just want to show them the software, and it's like,
Mhm.
I didn't even really know their business. I just wanted to lead with, look at the shiny object. And my sales results changed once I really slowed down and made it all about them. And, tell me about your employees, tell me about your culture, what challenges are you running into? And then suddenly it was like, okay, when I'm going to show you the software, I can speak directly to your needs, your problems, and so on. And so really the world I'm in is similar to my previous world. I'm just now selling speaking engagements, not software. And it's been a ton of fun. So
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. What's your favorite part about speaking?
I think it's the aha moments in the audience. Seeing people who are nodding, who are making those noises like right, where it kind of just it's what they needed to hear.
Mhm.
And just knowing that I'm helping with a transformation of some sort. And so an analogy I like is that sometimes we all want to be that last puzzle piece for somebody. Like, if I just help them with this, I solve their puzzle. But
Yeah.
I know I am just one of their puzzle pieces, and I know that I'm helping them in some way inch them forward. And so it's
Mhm.
really those making those connections for people. And then even afterwards, when they tell me, I've been going about this all wrong, you helped me have so many breakthroughs. I feel like that's what I was put here to do, is really to help people see what's possible for themselves and give them just
Mhm.
a little something to help inch them forward.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can totally see that with your personality just in the few, interactions that we've had together, so that makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Um, what would you say, for you, an ideal client profile, what would be sort of the best case scenario of somebody to reach out and want to work with you?
Yeah, anyone who has a sales team. Just that is the world I came from. I know the obstacles. I know that retention is a problem. There's very high turnover in the sales world. People leave after 12 to 18 months because they are dealing with imposter syndrome and self doubt and feeling inadequate and just so worried about how they're going to be successful. And so I know that world inside and out. So anyone who has a sales team, and then even women entrepreneurs who just want a little bit of coaching on how to become better sellers themselves.
Mhm.
It really does go back to human connection and slowing down and not leading with your offer or your product, but really getting to know the people that you're potentially going to work with.
Mhm.
And so yeah, those are kind of the two groups.
Yeah. Awesome. And if you had to kind of look back and think about maybe a success story that you've had or an impact that you've made with a particular client, what would be an anecdote that you could share to kind of demonstrate that, it was, I stepped in, here's what happened, and then we got, this kind of feedback from a particular client?
Yeah, definitely. So I did an engagement the other week for a group of travel agents. Actually, there were about 50 travel agents in the room. And the woman who is the director of these travel agents was like, the way you spoke to our audience, we really felt like you actually cared. Like you
Hmm.
weren't just pushing an agenda, like the way you spoke to us, we really felt like you understood us, that you took the time to get to understand us and the challenges that we face. And it just really carried across in a way where your message landed.
Mhm.
And so she was just so appreciative of that. She's like, I can just sense the heart and the passion that you have. And she's like, we just haven't had a speaker where we can sense that. So
Mm.
that was a wonderful compliment to hear, because that is how I feel. I really do want to help people, right? That is my
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I got to talk to several of the attendees, and they were like, I think I've been deterring people from the business because of my approach. And I just didn't even realize it. And they're like, let me tell you some of the things I was doing. And I'm like, okay, well, we have room to improve. And
Yep.
so it was kind
Yep.
of them coming to me just with these epiphanies of
Yeah.
let me confess to you how I've been doing things, and maybe now I understand why it wasn't working, right? And so we were able
Yeah.
to kind of solution on the spot, and
Mhm.
which was really fun. And now they're kind of going back just encouraged and excited, and like, I have a strategy now that's actually going to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a
Well,
fun one.
and there's truly, like, I think having someone in your corner to tell you that type of stuff, especially in a sales role, because there are very few prospects or leads that will actually give you the feedback of like, here's why we didn't go with you guys, or here's why I didn't
Mm,
hire you to plan our vacation, or whatever, it was.
right.
And even in my, career, I've had a handful who said, "Hey, here's why we went with somebody else." And that was such good information to get that feedback and understand. A lot of times it's like, well, we didn't even know, you weren't even communicating what you guys do very well. We didn't know that we
Mm,
went with this other company that we loved because they do XYZ. And you're like, wait, no, we actually do. We could have, yeah,
right.
no.
Yeah.
But, if nobody tells you that, and a lot of times they're already off and on to the next thing, or they're ghosting you anyways. So your role of being able to kind of spot that,
Mhm.
and shed some light on that, I think is gotta be so critical and helpful.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said too about being willing to ask for feedback. I think that can be hard as humans, like we just want to always do well, but I know some of the highest performers, they just are always getting feedback. They're always iterating, they're always improving. And so
Mm,
I think it's easier said than done, but to slow down and like you said, ask those questions. Like, I understand you're going another direction. Can you help me understand why we didn't win the business so I can do better next time? I think people appreciate that,
mhm,
because you're not saying, wait, hold on, just give us one more chance. You're like, I respect the
mhm,
decision, I want to do better, I'm giving you the opportunity to be open with me, and there's no obligation to do anything different by sharing these bits of information. But you're right, maybe they give you a gold nugget, like, we needed this and you don't do that, and you're like, well, I just want to let you know we do that. I'm
yeah.
sorry, right? And so it can almost open that door back up a little bit,
Mhm.
because sometimes deals come back around too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so you have to handle those losses with grace, and then kind of just, yeah, love on the relationship, and it might come
yeah.
back around.
Yeah, yeah. It's always, difficult to find a way to say, "We hope it goes well with the other company, but if it doesn't, come right on back. We'd
Right.
love to see you." Like,
Absolutely.
we
Yes.
we actually kinda hope it doesn't work out.
Right, right.
No. What would advice would you have for, there's kind of always that moment of transfer when your salesperson has sold it and said, "Here
Mm,
we go, contract is done. All right, let's hand it over to operations and let them run with it and make the magic happen." What
yeah.
advice do you have for salespeople to do that at a high level where you don't end up making the client feel like, whoa, sales guy said we're going to get,
Mm.
the whole kitchen sink. And now you're telling me we're not getting this. What can they do to kind of make sure that there's never that faux pas?
Yes, that is common. And I hate that it is, because there are people who will literally say they do something that isn't even built yet, right? And so I think, one, it's good to have other people in a deal with you, right? That are holding each other accountable. It's good. It's important to take really good notes too. And then also understanding like what really is important to your prospect. If they are hoping for X and you don't really do X, but you're telling them you do, then that's just going to all crash and burn. And so I think there has to be a level of honesty, and just transparency and a handoff call with the team you're handing them off to, right? Of just
Mhm.
going through everything. I find it's really helpful when the prospect who is becoming a customer and the team you're handing them off to and the sales team all have a kickoff call together to
Mhm.
really align on what's taking place and what the expectations are,
Yeah.
so that you can get ahead of things early. Because I think if you can get ahead of things early, that helps everyone. And it's also an opportunity to slow down and say, okay, I'm sorry, wait, you were expecting X. Let's talk through that more.
Right.
Because sometimes there's multiple ways to solve a problem and they're just thinking it's through X, but you can offer them Y and Z and it does the same thing. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but it does happen for sure. But I think when you have that camaraderie of let's have a kickoff call, a smooth transfer, that's a good opportunity to catch some of that stuff before it festers.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely makes sense. So in terms of, getting your business off the ground in San Antonio and being able to make that transition to building a whole new network, at what point did NAWBO kind of come into your radar or come onto your radar, and how did that happen?
Oh my goodness. Well, Leslie Owen, I'm sure you know Leslie.
Yeah.
We're in another community together as well called the Brand Builders Group, and they work with speakers and authors and business owners who are trying to build additional revenue streams. And so we were in that group, and I actually saw Leslie speak in an event, I think in April. And we traveled back to San Antonio together from that event, which was in Nashville. And so we got to travel together. I learned all about her business and I told her, I'm almost a year into, or we are probably, I don't know, 8 months into being here. And I was asking her, what group should I get plugged into? And she, without missing a beat, was like, NAWBO, oh my gosh, you have to join, and like would not stop talking about it, to the point where I was like, okay, like I am writing that down. Yes, ma'am, I will do that. And so yeah, I looked it up and I was like, okay. And then I saw she was the woman of the year or something last year,
Yep.
like big deal.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yep.
go, Leslie. But she again was just like, it is hands down. Like if you will invest in anything, that is what you need to invest in. And I'm so glad
Mhm.
I did what she told me to do.
Yeah. Lesson learned. Always do
Yes.
what Leslie Owen tells you to do.
Yes.
Shout out to her.
Do
Yeah.
it.
No, that's wonderful. I think that's always such a powerful. I mean, we all do the same thing when we ask for like our kids' pediatrician recommendation, and just hearing from
Mm-hmm.
another woman, yes, I vouch for this organization. Yes, it would be a
Mm-hmm.
great fit for you. That goes so much further than I Googled it and I happen to think, sure, I'll
Mm-hmm.
go to an event kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I can totally see that. And what would you say, because I'm sure, having as long and as successful of a career as you have had, you've been a part of a lot of different organizations. Is there anything in
Mhm.
particular that's been different about NAWBO that you've enjoyed?
Oh my goodness. I would say the variety of events. So shout out to Mindy for her programming.
Shout out to
Um,
Mindy. Yes,
yes,
absolutely.
yes. But just there's so many different options, from brunch to dinners to brunch and learns, virtual events, being on a committee. And so I've just been, I'm a busy mom, business owner, entrepreneur. I got groceries to buy, the whole thing, right? Like wear a lot
Mhm.
of hats. And so it is so nice that there are so many different times and days to pick from to really suit your schedule. Um, and then just the quality of the woman in the room. I have been a part of other groups where you're like, okay, there's a click, there's a click, there's a click. And that is not the case with this group. It is
Mhm.
truly just bump into whoever you bump into, sit with whoever you want to sit next to that you just happen to bump into. There's none of that. And I'm just like, what is in the water here in San Antonio? what is this place? It is so refreshing. And again, it's just a supportive group of women who are
Yeah.
doing incredible things. And so the first event I went to was when you were actually getting inducted as the president at that beautiful
Yeah.
tower.
Fun
And
one. Yeah.
it was super fun, and every woman had such a diverse background.
Yeah.
And so that was really neat too, because we can all share learnings and lessons, even if our paths
Totally.
look a little different.
Yeah.
So yeah, just super excited to be involved.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That makes my heart very, very happy to
Yay.
hear. And yeah, we're again going back to kind of the Eric Walsh conversation. He
Mhm.
was, touting San Antonio again, and he was like, he said, "Oh, Dallas is basically Oklahoma, Houston is basically Louisiana, and who cares about Austin? Come to San Antonio."
There you go.
I
But
agree. I
but
agree.
but also my husband's like, don't tell anyone about San Antonio. Like, let's keep
Now that
it.
we let
So
you guys in, close the
right,
door.
right.
Don't
Yeah.
no.
I'm
Okay.
like,
All right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of places in the country that feel like that, whether
I
like
know. Yeah.
Nashville, I feel
Yeah.
like North Carolina's got pockets where they're like, please,
Right.
we're
Shut
full,
the
we're
door.
full.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely understandable. But
Yeah.
so how, if people are interested in working with you,
Mhm.
what does that process look like? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so actually, Leslie Owen is currently building my website. She owns Movement Maker,
Fabulous.
and they're doing a great job. But in the meantime,
Yes.
they put a temporary landing page up for me. So that is
Mhm.
paige-evans.com, and you can actually book a time with me just right through that or inquire.
Good.
We can do a complimentary call and even see if there's room to keep talking.
Amazing, amazing. And I love that you're, willing to kind of be flexible as far as is it just popping in to speak, on a one-off, or is it long-term, retainer kind of partnership and working with your
I
clients
am
from a
so
consulting standpoint?
flexible. Yeah,
Yeah.
at this stage, I am so flexible. I'm learning as I
Yeah.
go, and I'm excited. I'm doing a couple events this month for different women's groups, like the Hill Country Woman in Business. I'm
Yeah.
speaking to them in a couple weeks. Babes Support Babes. Speaking to them at the end of the month, and some other groups
Yeah.
on the calendar for September. So
Yeah.
I know through each of those, I'm going to pick up gold nuggets of this is what really landed. And I want to
For
make
sure.
sure I carry that over. So I'm
Yeah.
flexible and would love to chat with whoever's interested in up leveling their sales performance.
Yeah. Wonderful. And paint a picture for me. If you could, decide where your business is here in 5, 10 years, what's that vision
Mm.
look like?
Oh, girl, it's big. So I'll give you the 10 because I think sometimes we can overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 10. So I'll give you the
Mhm.
10-year vision. So 10 years from now, gosh, my kids are going to almost be teenagers, or they will be. That's crazy.
Mhm.
But I will be, I'm going to say I will be, not I want to be. I will be
Yep.
on some of the largest stages for corporations that are household names, and I will be the keynote speaker. And again, really help igniting that potential in people and seeing what's possible. I will be making people laugh, making people cry. But again, just I want to be part of that puzzle piece for them that propels them forward.
Mhm. Wonderful. All right. You will be. We are gonna
I love
manifest it
it.
for sure.
Yes, this is a diary
Mhm.
entry.
Yes, 100%. We'll see this clip in 10 years, be like, "Remember
Yes,
when we talked about"
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
the video quality will be much better in 10 years, so this will look like an antique and,
Gosh, isn't that crazy to think about? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
probably right.
All right. Well, Paige, it's been a true pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. As you mentioned, we've got lots of crazy, fun, awesome events coming up.
Yeah.
We are looking forward to our summit in the fall. We are looking forward to our gala, which sponsorships are actually
Woohoo.
already available and tickets are already coming very, very rapidly. We're actually also accepting nominations for our Women Business Owner of the Year awards, which is what you mentioned. Leslie was a winner last year. So if you are tuning in today, whether you're watching or you're listening to the podcast, if that is of interest to you, either our events or our awards submissions, please scan that QR code if you're watching. And if you are listening, go to nowbosa.org. And we would love to share more information with you about all of that good stuff coming down the pipeline. So thanks again, Paige, and you have a great weekend.
Thank you, and have fun at the volleyball tomorrow with your
Oh, yeah.
daughter.
Yeah, it
Yay.
it turns out it doesn't matter when we record this, it's always volleyball tomorrow.
I love
Always,
it.
always, always.
Volleyball tomorrow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All
Well,
right.
enjoy. Thanks
All right.
again.
Bye.
Bye.